Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Will Charlton, and welcome into another edition of Noteworthy in the NCAA, a weekly podcast on the happenings in the college sports landscape here on the ETB network. Happy you're joining us on this Monday afternoon, early evening, wherever it may be that you're watching. College football is only getting more and more exciting as the season is continuing to move along here. We just got done with week 2, and heading into week 3 now, we have a new top 25 ranking. So I will show that on the screen here. This is the new AP poll. As you can see, there's a bit of movement that happens. One big one that, of course, means a lot to me as an University of Illinois alum is the Fighting Illini are number 9 in the country after a 45-19 win over Duke on Saturday. The Illini cracked the top 10 for the first time since 2001. And also, how about Florida State jumping into the top 10? Number 10 now after just steamrolling past. I can't even remember who it was they played. Is annihilated them 77-3, I think the final score was. So Illinois 9, Florida State 10 after that 2-10 season that the Seminoles had last year. So very impressive turnaround for Mike Norvell and crew. You see a Clemson team who just barely survived against Troy, slips down to 12. Kind of surprised they're still at that ranking. I figured they would have fallen a little bit more just because of the fact that they were losing in halftime in that game. And I think it's not very deserving to have them that high after that game. But also a very big, interesting storyline here. The USF Bulls, after taking down Florida on the road, 16-15, they find themselves in number 18. Look who's right behind them. We live in a world currently where the USF Bulls are ranked ahead of the Alabama Crimson Tide. How about that? Literally just 2 weeks ago, before the season starts, if you said going into week 3 that USF would be ranked ahead of Alabama heading into week 3, I would look at you and said, well, what needs to happen for that to take place? And literally what has happened has been the reason why USF is ranked ahead of Alabama. I mean, it is just actually unbelievable that the USF Bulls, and granted, they deserve to be there. Don't get me wrong. And now they got to go play on the road at Miami, who's number 5. So the USF, currently, if you're kind of looking at the landscape of how the college football playoff will shake out, I look at USF and I see the team who is favorited to make the 12-team field out of the group of 5. And certainly, the way they're playing right now, I mean, you could afford to lose this Miami game, still win the American, and you will be in the playoff easily, hands down, because you are still by far the best group of 5 team. Now, would you be any higher than 12? I don't know, but I do think that the USF Bulls are currently the front runner to make it into the college football playoff. Also, Auburn cracks the top 25 after starting off 2-0. Might be a bit of an overreaction to a 2-0 start. Missouri is in there as well after a nice win over Kansas where they had to come back and actually a backdoor cover if you're a sports gambler. So Missouri ended up covering that number of 6.5 at home. 11 of the 16 SEC teams are ranked in this poll this week. Might be a little bit of bias, but I guess it just means more, doesn't it? So that's your new AP poll this week. Oklahoma moves up to 13 after a win over number 23 Michigan. I think that's pretty fitting. Iowa State 14 now after a big win over Iowa, in-state rival. And then we're going to have a Texas A&M team at 16 head into Notre Dame as number 8 this coming Saturday in a big matchup down in South Bend, Indiana. So moving on, obviously you see the headline of what this episode is named about. And what's really weird is that, and you never see this after a college football game, but now I'm going to share my screen again here. So Syracuse and UConn played a very, very close game. And because of the fact, hold on one sec, I got to get this back up for you guys here. So look at this. Syracuse is quite literally running sprints after they beat UConn. Syracuse head coach Fran Brown makes the team run sprints after defeating UConn in overtime. UConn was winning this game for a very long time, and Syracuse had to come back in overtime to win the game. This is something I don't think I've ever seen, but man, obviously, I don't know what's more disrespectful here. You're saying that UConn should just be a win that should happen no matter what? Or is it because the team was undisciplined? I don't know. I didn't really watch much of the game at all. I didn't watch any of the game, I should say. I was only keeping track of it. But I just think it's really interesting how you win a game. And granted, you won the game. Like, you might not have played good, but you still won the game. So I don't really get like why the head coach, Fran Brown, is making his team run sprints after the game. It's like yeah, it might not have been pretty, but that happens. Should Clemson have run sprints after they barely beat Troy? I think it's a similar logic, right? And I think UConn's probably a better. Well, Troy's always been pretty solid in the Sun Belt, so I don't know. I just think it's really weird. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, like what Syracuse did to deserve this. Like, I'm gonna take a look at the box score here and just see like if there's a main reason why this should have happened. Let's see, team stats. Syracuse had 461 yards, allowed 416. 417 of the 461 were through the air for Syracuse. Maybe only 44 rushing yards was one of the big reasons, but only 5 for 15 on third down, 1 for 3 on fourth down, only 28 penalty yards. So it couldn't have been the fact they were undisciplined. I don't know. I think that this is just kind of really disrespectful to UConn than anyone else, because basically this is sending the message that UConn is just a pushover win for anyone. So, again, really weird, but I think that it's just kind of very disrespectful to UConn that Syracuse was running sprints after the game to just like, so should every team who beats UConn barely run sprints, I guess? I don't know. I guess that's something to ponder. So again, just really weird. And the last thing we'll talk about on the show today is this new Heisman Week 3 poll that On3 posted earlier on this Monday. So not surprising, John Mateer, number one. I mean, he has looked very, very good in 2 games so far. Looked great against Michigan in that win on Saturday. And then Tommy Castellanos right there at 2. I think that's very deserving because he single-handedly pretty much won that game for Alabama, or against Alabama. He was just phenomenal in that game. He looked fantastic once again in their game this weekend. And he has been a huge, huge difference maker for Florida State heading into this in these first 2 games of the season. I think that it's really impressive what he has done, just jumping into this Florida State team and making a difference just right out the bat. I mean, he has been just a difference maker in so many ways for the Seminoles. Somebody didn't have last year with Uyunglele. Garrett Nussmeier at 3, the quarterback of LSU. LSU didn't look great in their win this past week, but they still got it done. So I think that's more of a credit to the fact that he's an SEC quarterback and got a big Week 1 win over Clemson. So that's probably why he's on there. Devon Dampier of Utah has stepped in really nicely for the Utes. Utes are looking like a formidable contender in the Big 12 right now to potentially win that conference and make the college football playoff. They have really, really looked great in these first 2 weeks. So the Utes and Dampier are certainly a team to watch out for down the stretch. And you see a couple defensive players on there as well, and Reuben Bain and Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs, one of the best lockdown defensive backs in the country, and Reuben Bain was a single-handedly a force to be reckoned with, especially in that game against Notre Dame. Did a lot for Miami down the stretch in that game to allow the Hurricanes to get that win and hang on against the Fighting Irish. But that's that Heisman poll. So want to thank you guys for tuning in to this week's edition of Noteworthy in the NCAA. That's all the time we got for you today. And make sure to stay right here on playback coming up at 5 Eastern as Puck Talk will be taking the platform. So that'll be coming up here in just about 20 minutes. So make sure you stick around for that. But for now, I'm Will Charlton. We'll see you back here on Noteworthy in the NCAA next week. And make sure to tune into Forever Power 5 this coming Friday for our fourth episode.